Are you a lovely lady out there that's still looking for love, finding that kinder spirit, that person who connects with you? Well, today that's what we're going to be talking about. Welcome to Let's Get Real. My name is Glenda Kroll. I'm one of your hosts today.
And I'm Nicole Harvick. I am your other host, and I'm so happy to be here today. And we're going to get through this before the hurricane hits South Carolina, Glenda.
I got it. Well, once again, it's happening. There's a lot of spirits out there that are moving around. So let's let a great spirit join us today as we come together and learn a little bit of attracting your special somebody. Nicole, who are
Yeah,
you?
this is going to be a great guest today. I've known this lady for a while, and she is fascinating. She is an author, she is a speaker, and she is a dating coach. And she specializes in relationship alignment. And I really don't know what that means, so I'm sure she will tell us. Here's what I love the most. She is known as the SMART Dating Diva Queen. I have to read that because that's a mouthful. Welcome, Donna Sparaco Meador, to our stage.
Woohoo!
Yeah,
Dating queen.
Smart Dating Diva Queen. That's a mouthful. How did that come about?
It's actually an acronym, which I'm not going to share right now, but
Okay.
I developed a process that I used myself, not only when I met my late husband, but again, when I went out dating after he passed. I went back to my own system because I said, it worked so well the first time. Let me see what I did. And I actually had a friend say to me, girl, how did you find love 2 times in a row? And I was like, oh, boom, you're right. I've got the system down.
And okay, so that's leads me into, what's the system? Like I had my own sort of system of what I did of first of all healing your soul before you even begin to date. And here's the thing, like I know men do this all the time, like one relationship ends and then they're back out there. And they don't even wait. How many times do you see men that haven't even divorced yet? They've just separated and they're already looking to date again. Have you not learned anything yet? So let's hear, what are your thoughts about that?
I come from a different angle, Glenda. I'm okay with men getting back out there. They're a different creature than we are.
Yeah.
Okay. They're very different. Although my current husband and my last husband were both divorced for 20 years. So interesting scenario. But what I've discovered is the journey's different for everybody.
Yeah.
And one of the things I learned through the pain of going out to date in my early 40s was, number one, I didn't know what I was doing. I had no idea how to decipher if we were on the same page because I just assumed we all were on the same page. Not so. No, we weren't. And so after dating about 2.5 years and reading all the books, he's not into you, the rules. I mean, I did my homework. I can proudly tell you today, I have earned my doctorate in dating. Okay.
Donna's doctorate in dating, DDD.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, absolutely. And when I put it all together, I decided something was missing. And I wrote my own book.
Oh.
This was a time, think about this. I mean, I actually just thought about this yesterday, Nicole. How is it I wrote my own book at a time when people didn't do that, number one? There wasn't an affordable way to do that. It was sort of like, what does that look like? You couldn't do it digitally. But I wanted to compile, and I had no insight or foresight about why I was actually writing the book. I didn't market it. I didn't know how to market it. I didn't sell it. I was just like, I wrote it and I published it 10 years later when I could finally afford to. And now, so that was 2014. So now 10 years after that, it's gaining traction because it's the nuts and bolts of how I met and married my late husband.
Wow.
So that's when I started to put it together, right? Like, what are we doing? And so I love to live my life with ease, Glenda.
I agree. I do too. I believe in that.
And yeah, I know you do. And I know Nicole does.
Mm-hmm.
And so I will share with you the S in SMART. It's going to be no surprise to you. It's self-development, self-understanding, self-care, self-empowerment. It's self, because we can't do anything if we don't get into the self.
Yes, which takes you to self-love.
Self-love, self-love. We're not, when people say to me, I'm good, I'm fine the way I am, I say, wonderful, because you should not date unless you are in love with yourself. We're not going out to find somebody to complete us, to rescue us. We're not looking for that. We're looking for somebody to add to our joy and our happiness.
Amen on that. I love that.
So true. Absolutely. I had a conversation with a client this morning, and that was the first thing. I said, what are you looking for? And he said, happiness. And he says, I'm trying to find someone. And I said, whoa, you got the wrong thing. You got to start with you first.
Yes. Beautiful. And I would also like to clarify, I am a woman's dating coach. So I focus on women who are single, soul searching, women over 40 who are looking for love in all the wrong places. And here's the thing. When we went to college, we were very clear about what we were going to do. We were going to get married and have children. I mean, that's what people did in college, right? You didn't need a guideline. You didn't need to read a book. Most people got married out of high school or in college. Now, I did not go to college, but I went into the workforce.
Yeah.
And I was very clear in my mid-20s, I wanted to get married. Now, I did not end up having children, but life changes as we go through the journey. And when I went through the phase of writing this book and going out there in my early 40s going, okay, I am now looking for love and marriage. Yeah, it took me a couple of years to get there, but I knew I had to be happy first.
Yeah.
I couldn't, because why? Because I wasn't in the beginning. I was looking for somebody to complete me or to make me happy. And I realized, okay, that's not going to work. And
well, I agree. Yeah. And that's exactly, my first time around, that was, I was looking for somebody that was going to support me and do for me. Yeah. And that's kind of didn't really happen. So, when we look for things and I'll share with you, I know at one point in time when, I had been through the relationships and was looking out, as I was searching out, I was looking for my kind of guy. And then I stopped one day and I went, geez, well, my relationships haven't been successful. So I don't know what my kind of guy is.
I love it. Oh, I love that. And my late husband and my now husband are like opposite ends of the spectrum. If you want to say that my late husband was like Desi Arnaz and I was Lucille Ball, now you can say my now husband is like we're both Lucille Ball, right? So, yeah.
I love it.
That's amazing. That's amazing. And, when we were dating and we were thinking about, I got married later also, but there was nothing to base anything on. There was no book. There was really, there was no internet. There was no talk about it. So, and quite honestly, my parents didn't have any talks with me. So you're kind of on your own. And it's like, okay. He's good looking. He's a bad boy. Yeah, okay, that'll work.
Yeah, exactly.
Way too many times.
And you're not alone, Nicole. You're not alone. And so what I bring to the table is a very simple way to help women understand if you're on the same page. And I will share a huge tip right now because this is my my forte is helping these single soul searching women over 40 know before the fourth date whether to continue or not. There's a very easy system to do that. I've actually am in the midst literally of creating a digital course. It'll be announced on YouTube because I have a brand new channel that I'm working on there. But one of the things I will share with you that is probably very different from most dating coaches.
Okay.
And that is, and when I hear the women who say, well, I'm going to be on Bumble, or I want to be on the app that's going to allow me to make the choice. Going back to what you said, right, Glenda?
Yep.
And I say, okay, let me just explain to you how that is a fallacy. You making the first move on any of those apps because they can't reach out to you unless you do is a fallacy. Well, Donna, what do you mean? They can't reach out to me. I had a guy tell me, Donna, I just swipe yes to everybody.
Ooh.
And then, so when he swiped yes to everybody, whoever then connected with him, it's a match.
Yeah.
That helped me to understand why when I got a match, they disappeared. Because they're not looking at bios or they're not looking at, they're just swiping yes to everybody. And I'm not saying all men, but this is the fallacy, right? Like a if you live in a secured neighborhood, right? There's a gate. Can people get through the gate? Yes, they can. It's a false sense of security. So the app that says women have to reach out first is a false sense of empowerment. And I hold true to that. I'm like, no, that's not. And if you're looking for a traditional relationship, which I am, so I speak to that because that's where I come from. Why would you want to chase the guy? Why would you want to? Wouldn't it be more advantageous for you to sit back and see who's interested in you? And then you get to pick from the ones who are jumping through hoops to get to you. This is the magic of dating with ease. And I did it twice. And it's really fun to watch men jump through hoops. And guess what? They want to. It's their instinct to do that.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
I think it's when we do the other, we take away from the real masculinity of, it's the Tarzan thing, chasing Jane, getting Jane. Yeah. So share with us, how do you know by the fourth day? And actually, when I think back, and I actually thought, I think that's what happened with me. But how do you know by the fourth date that that's the person?
Well, I really can't go through the whole course right now, but I will say, starting off with allowing only those that are pursuing you to be in the running of having the privilege to go out with you is an excellent place to start. Excellent place.
I like that you say the privilege.
Absolutely.
Because it can't be just assumed that you want to. No.
Remember, I started in my early 40s and I was desperate. I was in despair. I didn't understand what was wrong with me. I couldn't figure out why I couldn't find my special someone. I was going out with these guys and doing my best to get on their pages, not understanding that that was not what I should be doing. And then I couldn't understand why they kept putting me on the back burner and they didn't call when they said they would. I mean, I know the story. I've been there. Yeah. I've been there. I've been divorced and I've been widowed. And I have found true love not once, but twice.
Wow.
So it's starting with the foundation of self-confidence. And we can't get self-confidence by reading about it.
True.
You've got to do the work of yourself.
You got to get out there and skin your knees a little bit. And by the way, Glenda and Nicole, I have done the energy work. I love energy work. It's all about that spirituality and standing in your place of confidence, but you can't get there unless you go out there and, walk into a few doors and stutter a little bit. I think the first time I ever went to the very first time I went to a single event in New York City, because I was living in New York.
I'm
sorry, what'd you say?
I said I hated those.
Oh my gosh, I loved them. But the first one, I literally needed a paper bag. I started to hyperventilate.
She passes out. Yeah,
pretty much. I didn't know what, a man turned to me and said hello, and I went, I started to stutter. So we have this misconception that we should know what to do, and we don't. I teach women how to flirt, what that means, when to utilize it. If you're looking for a traditional male-female relationship, there's no easier way to do it. And when people say to me, but the apps don't work, I say, why is that? Well, I met guys who, they want to jump into bed right away, or they want this, I go, well, then I think it's working fine, because the dating process is a sifting and the sorting. Then you're not on the same page. You're not trying to get on their page. You're not trying to get them on your page. You're finding out who they are. You're meeting people you haven't met yet. And
Yeah.
I used to think dating was so much. I always thought dating was so. Once I got over the hump and understood my system, dating was so much fun.
Well, I agree with you because I felt the same way. Once I decided that I didn't know who my type was, and I was just going to go out there and I was just going to meet people, all of a sudden it became a time of, I met some wonderful men. And
Yes.
it wasn't that they were all for me. I didn't care about that. But I could go out and have an evening or meet up for coffee or drink. And I actually got to meet some nice people, had some great conversations.
Yes.
And that was fine. And that's, I really felt that that was the start of how things changed.
That is so good, Glenda. I love that you got to that point because that's exactly right. I have met some amazing men in my life and they weren't for me.
Yeah, it just because you meet, but I met people that I connected with on a business level. It was all sorts of things, and that's when I look at every day of life. You go out and you never know who you're going to meet. I love networking events, not because I'm looking for someone that has nothing to do with that, because I love meeting new people and hearing what people's views on whether it's business, life, whatever.
Well, what's really fun is I met my late husband at a networking event in New York City. Cool. And we networked. We did network. I'm putting quotes, but we networked for 2 months because I was working for a construction company and he was in furniture installation, the cubicles, office furniture, corporate. And so we networked for 2 months. And when he asked me out, I was like Shrek. I was like, what do you mean? Like, on a date? Like, totally caught me off guard. So I'm also a big advocate of allowing it to roll out. And I always say to the women, if you want to tell me, well, you know what, I didn't have chemistry on the first date, I want to remind them, and I always do, that both of my husbands, I did not fall in love with on the first date. I knew Pietro for 2 months before he ever asked me out. And then Jeff, at that time, I wasn't looking for love or marriage. So I told him straight up, I don't think we're on the same page, but if you want to take me to dinner, all right, go have at it. And he just was like, he was absolutely interested and he did all the right things. And it felt delicious and wonderful and also scary because I kept saying to myself as a somewhat new widow, how is it I can feel like I'm falling in love when I'm still in love? So I wrote a book about that, still waiting to be published. And so, because those are sincere questions, how can I have this amazing feeling for this man when I still have this amazing feeling for my late husband? And so I like to remind women that falling in love again does not replace anybody, that there's room in the heart to love, yes. love. Right.
That's so true. And, Donna, I'm curious because you've done it both ways. You met Pietro in person before we could swipe, but I think you met Jeff online, right?
I did. Yeah.
Tell us the difference, or is there a difference when you first, like you met Pietro, there was conversation, you're just kind of texting back and forth.
Yeah.
How do you feel about both methods?
Great question. I am open to receiving the abundance of health, wealth, happiness, and protection with ease. And so however somebody shows up in your presence, whether it's at a grocery store, at the gas pumping, you're at a networking meeting, or just enjoy the flow of it, right? Here's what I love. Now, I did meet Pietro networking. And then, of course, he wanted to network with me. So he took me to lunch. We met for drinks because he was a GC, I was a GC person, right? He was on Match.com. We would have never connected had we met on Match. We were both on Match, but that's not how we connected because his bio had 2 sentences. And I wrote a thesis.
A man of few words.
Yeah, he was a man of few words, but he was a debonair man, Glenda. He was that guy. He was that off the boat Italian with a lovely Italian accent. He knew how to woo me, and he was not used to a woman that he had to chase. Let's look at this. He was used to women chasing him. Remember, he'd been divorced for 20 years, wasn't looking to get married. And the first time I said, when he asked me what I wanted, I said love and marriage, because I figured if he's going to run, let him run right now.
Yeah.
Like, go. If we're not on the same page, now's the time. And then his answer was, because this is humorous, is why I'll tell you this. Well, how about I treat you like my wife, but I don't marry you.
Oh. And I need to know your response.
Yes, exactly.
I basically said, whatever in my head, because in my mind, I wasn't in love with him yet. See, this is what I'm trying to show you. Like, I was not in love with him. So I figured, okay, well, I'm going to continue to date while I'm seeing him. And when I realized I fell in love with him, I went to him and I said, I have to know if marriage is on the table, because you cannot compromise what you want. That's not a compromise. For me, I was looking for love and marriage. And he said, absolutely.
Wow.
So once he said that, I said, okay, I'm in. So that was the in-person meeting. Mm-hmm. Now, Jeff was on a dating app, and I love dating apps. And let me tell you why, especially in today's day. Because people say to me all the time, I want to meet somebody organically. Well, let me tell you, honey, how many millions of people are on a dating app? And how much more organic can you get than meeting and connecting on a dating app? Because energy is real. Does it matter if we meet in person, Nicole? Glenda, does it matter? We feel each other right now.
Right.
Absolutely. Why wouldn't we feel each other on a dating app, right? So he popped into my world and I had 1 week left on that dating app. And I said so in my bio. I said, I'm not renewing. Basically, I'm out of here. And on the 4th of July, he popped in, and that man, Cupid shot me through the heart as soon as I got that email.
Wow.
He addressed every single thing in my bio. He had empathy. He had true concern and caring for what I had been going through. And he thought how strong it was that I would put myself back out there to date. And so I went to his bio and I read he was looking for love and marriage. And I thought, well, this isn't going to work. And the other thing I love about apps, and I'm a big advocate of this, always, always, always Google phone numbers and names when you get them.
Oh, yeah.
Always. Even if I have a client who met somebody at a car wash. She was so excited. And 2 weeks later, I sort of reached out and said, so how's it going? Well, they hadn't met yet in person. They hadn't gone out other than meeting at the car wash. I said, did you Google his name? Did you Google his phone number? And she I could feel her sort of rolling her eyes, like.
Yeah, right. You can. That's that energy we feel.
Yeah, that's that energy we feel. And I said, would you please do me a favor and Google his phone number? And she did, and found out it would belong to a woman of a different name and so forth. So it's just it's a layer of protection that we have the ability to do like this. Why wouldn't we?
And that's
social media.
And I agree with you. And, there's nothing wrong with online dating and meeting somebody like that. But there are, yes, and people are thinking, yeah, but they're scammers. Yes, there are. Our world is filled with them. But it's really easy. I'm the same way. I'm a little private detective. So the same thing. I go through and do your homework.
Do your homework.
Do something like before I would even go out on a date with people, I would want to get on. And because I found out at one point that I wanted to go onto a FaceTime to make sure that they were real. So the face matched who they said they were.
Oh, okay. Oh, interesting. That's an interesting.
And as long as I had that, then, it was okay, because what I found, and never mind me, but I had other people who had very much gotten involved, because of the scammers that are out there, got tied up into different things, and they didn't do enough of the homework, because people are able to lead other people on.
Yeah, and it's a formula, Glenda. There's a formula, and I've had a handful of clients at the same time start telling me stories, and my hair starts jumping, and I'm like, okay, it's a scam. And they're like, no, I don't think so. And I go, oh, okay, do me a favor. There's a formula. There's a formula, right? The formula.
Yeah.
They reach out. They've done their homework. These are people who, let's say they live in other countries, who know how to hook you.
Yeah.
They've studied it. It's a science. They have W-2 jobs. Okay. This is not like some kid sitting in a basement dinking around. This is real stuff. And there's a formula to it, and it's very familiar. And so I teach that formula as well for people to understand. Like, we just want to be safe, right? In the old days, it was the guy with the jacket that opened up his jacket, and there were like selling fake watches and, you know, other crazy things.
Now it's the men from other countries that are generals or doctors in the army.
Absolutely. 100%. And still very smart women that I know get caught up in it.
Yeah, I bet.
It feels so real.
Because, you know, everybody wants that love.
Yes.
It's that true desire, and they play onto that.
Yes.
So, you know, let's put it out there. You know, there's okay with online dating. There's nothing wrong with it. But if somebody's asking you for money, then run. You know, the number one, and really know, doing some homework, just like you're saying. The numbers don't always work, but Googling people's names, LinkedIn, Google, all sorts of things that you can find out who they say they are, if they are that indeed.
100%. And let me just remind everybody, good men are looking for good women. Strong men are looking for strong women. Weak men are looking for weak women. Okay, so when I asked Jeff for his phone number and his last name, he was happy to give it to me. He was happy to know that I was protecting myself. Okay. And there's an easy way to do it. Like, some people say, well, how do you ask that question without being, well, when somebody says, can I have your number? I never gave out my number first. I said, you know what? I'm old fashioned that way. Why don't you give me your number and I'll text it to you?
Perfect.
Yeah.
And then just stay quiet. See what the response is. Yeah.
And in realizing that things in this world have changed a bit. They changed, but they haven't changed. Like, there's still the whole pursuit that is fun. Like, the whole idea is to have fun.
Yes.
You know?
Yes. What, did you read my book, Glenda? Because that's what I'm saying. Just have fun.
Sorry, I didn't read the book yet, but I sort of created my own, like, go out there and, like, stop putting so much emphasis on that. I gotta find, and just go out there and you gotta have fun.
Just have fun. Just have a good time. Be smart. Be smart. Smart Dating Diva Queen says, be smart. Do your due diligence. Let a girlfriend know where you're going if you're going to meet somebody. And I have a formula, right? There's a formula to the dating procedure if you're looking to date with ease. And have fun. I mean, the only thing you should be thinking about on your first date is, this is fun. Or if it's not fun, you don't go on a second date. Like,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's really
if you're not having a good time, then key in and all of a sudden listen, because your body's telling you. If you're looking at your watch, it's time to leave now, right?
Yeah, right. And be cordial. I never skipped out on a date. I never got nasty, even when that one guy forgot his wallet. I just never saw him again. I didn't answer the phone when he called. When I found out that one guy would lie to me, I discovered that a guy lied to me, literally, like, broke a date and then went to the bar we were going to meet at. And it just so happened that I decided to meet my girlfriends there for a dinner. Oh. And so I saw him sitting at the bar and he never saw me. But when he called the next day, it just went to voicemail. I wanted no part of it. We don't have to make excuses. We don't have to apologize for what we want or what we don't want.
And
right?
When you decide you don't want to do a second date, is there a protocol, or do you just not return calls? How do you handle that, Donna?
Ghosting was very difficult for me in the beginning. When I heard, and back in the day, it was called, what was it called? It was ghosting and, I'm forgetting the word we used to use 20 years ago. That put me in hyperventilation mode, because I couldn't understand how somebody could literally sit and have dinner with me or a drink or meet with me for an hour and then disappear. Like, that freaked me out. And then I began to understand the beauty of it. I began to understand the magnificent beauty of ghosting. Anytime, and this is a rule that I live by, it's an unwritten rule. Anytime you see somebody within 3 dates. We can say under 4 if that feels better. You don't have to have a conversation about not seeing them again. You don't have to break up with anybody. Yeah. This is what dating is. You should be dating multiple men at all the time. You should just be dating. And this is another thing why I told Jeff we weren't on the same page. I said, look, I'm dating multiple men. I don't know what you're doing, but you know, you're looking for love and marriage, mister. And of course I will tell you I'm married. So, you know, I'm no longer doing that, but you know, it's okay to ghost them. It's easy and simple. And if it feels better to say to somebody or text them, hey, I had a lovely time last night, but we're not on the same page, you can do that too.
Yeah.
Okay. But just understand you're going to be ghosted. And when you're ghosted, it's okay. You're just not on the same page.
Yeah. And I think that's so true. I love what you're saying, because we need to, you know, let's get real with ourselves, right?
Yes.
We're not going to connect with everybody. That's not how life works. You know, even in business, some personalities just kind of meld together and you can do great business. And sometimes no matter what you do, it just doesn't work. Right. So it's the same thing with, you know, dating each other and becoming connected or not.
100%. Business is exactly the same way. And so I just break it down. I'm like, ladies, we don't have to think that we're doing something wrong because it's not instinctual. It's a very fast-paced world out there. So I slow it down, get them into their priorities, help them understand who they are. I want to hear the wins. You know, I want to hear the wins. You're going out to a single dance, a networking or a speed dating event. These are fun times to enjoy meeting different people in different environments and enjoy yourself. First and foremost, you're there to have a good time.
And I'm just curious, you've got to have something in your book about like stalkers, or, you know, how do you spot that? What do you do with them? People that get pushy, that want you to come to their home or meet you at yours. What's the protocol for that?
This is another great win when somebody says, I'm sorry, that's not how I want to meet you. Or that's not how, you know, like Jeff gave me 3 different scenarios how I could meet him for dinner. Did he want me to pick him up? Did he want me to meet him at Fry's? You know, did he want me to meet him at the restaurant? Whatever I wanted, he was going to abide by. And so if it doesn't feel right, it's not right. If you don't want to meet somebody somewhere, if you don't feel comfortable getting into their car, which you shouldn't on the first date.
Or second.
Yeah. So, you know, there's these little and of course, do your due diligence, right? You know, get on Facebook, get on social media, look them up, you know, get all that fun stuff out of the way so that you can enjoy yourself. But I think, Nicole, women don't trust themselves. And they tell themselves, they tell themselves the story we have, because, you know, we all have stories, is I don't trust men. But in truth, they don't trust themselves. And so I want to help them trust themselves, stand in their self-empowerment, their self-confidence, their self-understanding, so they can understand their value that they bring to a relationship.
Bingo. That's really the important word you just said there.
Yeah.
Many people don't understand their own value.
No. And I didn't. And it was interesting, about 6 months or a year ago, I was feeling a little guilty because for the first time in my life, my adult life, I don't have to worry about paying the bills. This has been a huge gift to me. And not that I didn't with Pietro, but it was different times, right? We had just come out of 2008 when we met. So that was like a different energy going on in the world at that time. Woo! So, but I'm able to focus on my passion of helping women understand their value, right? And so I felt a little guilty, and I said to him, you know, I feel terrible. I feel like all I'm doing is sitting around, you know, like I'm eating Doritos or something, and which I'm not, because I'm not an advocate of junk food. But anyway, and he said to me, honey, do you understand what it would cost me if I had to pay somebody to make me dinner? If I had to pay somebody to do the laundry, if I had to pay somebody to clean the house, if I had to pay somebody to do the taxes, if I had to pay somebody to pay our bills, because I take care of the home. I'm a homemaker. I didn't even know that. I'm like, oh my God, Mom, I'm a homemaker. I'm like 65 years old. I'm finally a homemaker. Wow, that's so cool, you know. And yet I get to do this. I get to be this. I get to meet amazing women like you who are out there with a message, and I get to do all that. So the rest of the stuff is really easy for me, but it never dawned on me that if he had to do it himself or pay somebody, wow.
Right. And it's so interesting because there are a lot of men out there that don't put a worth on women that stay at home, even if you've got the children, because I was one of those. So what do you do all day?
Yeah. So, well, first of all, for you, Nicole, I just want to say it was a different time.
Yeah.
Well, it was like, in those days, it was a role. He had his role and you had your role, right? So a different time there. It's different now. And you're asking me what I do all day? Are you literally asking me what I do all day?
No, I never had any value placed on me, no monetary value placed on me, because I was at home. And never was there any consideration that I was buying the groceries, running the home, taking the kids to dance, taking them, you know, to music lessons, cleaning. There was no worth on me at all.
No, this has been the journey that you and many, many women who got married at that time went through, right? For me, I received that from Jeff. He builds me up all the time. This is why we add to each other's happiness all the time. I'm always telling him how grateful I am that he says, all I have to do is go to work, honey.
How sweet.
So let's also talk in the head on of when people are starting to date, what is the right way, or if there is a right way of what happens when it comes to paying the bill?
Oh, I love this.
Let's talk because a lot of people don't know what they should be doing, and you know, if there is a right way, wrong way, or whatever.
Well, great question, Glenda. First of all, and I'm going to say you, not necessarily you literally, but the audience, what are you looking for? Right? I was looking for a traditional male-female relationship. I wanted an alpha male. Clearly, I wanted an alpha male. Now, I'm an alpha woman. Okay? I am an alpha woman, but I wanted an alpha male. All right? And I like an alpha male in the bedroom. I mean, if you want to talk real, I like an alpha male in the bedroom. Okay? Not all alpha males have to be alpha in the bedroom. You got to figure out what you want there. So I am not reaching for my wallet. I'm going to sit. The first time I went on a date and all my girlfriends said, don't you reach for your wallet. Now I'm going back 25 years. Oh my gosh, it was so painful to not offer, to split the bill, or again, thinking I wasn't worthy, or I didn't understand that I gave him the privilege of taking me out. That didn't come till 20 years later. And so I ducked out. I went to the bathroom when the bill came, and I hung out there for a while, you know, and I was like, okay, I better go back now. And then I get back and he's still not done paying the bill. And I'm like, oh. So then like a ventriloquist, I heard myself say, would you like me to pay half? And he said, Donna, this is a date. You're not paying half. And guess what? I never offered again.
Wow. That's a great story.
Yeah. I've never, I believe I'm the same way. I'm old fashioned. I believe when a man takes a woman out, they pay for the bill. Once you're going with somebody, and that continues on. I'm the same way, unless it's a special event or something like their birthday or that, then absolutely. But I believe that you set yourself up. How do you look like I'm the type of woman that I have self-worth. And I believe, yes, it's if you want me, you've got to show me that.
Yeah.
And I think that's where a lot of women, like I hear of where a lot of women will say, well, when we get together for coffee, they'll pay for their own. Or I remember going on a date and, I didn't want to pay. And I remember the guy sitting there and we were trying to find a restaurant. And I knew what he was doing. We're going door to door and he was looking at all the menus because he was looking at the prices.
Right.
And he was he was doing well in his life. He was, he was a tennis pro, and he was doing very well in his life. So he had. And then I remember went to a restaurant when he finally chose one. And I will always be asking, what do you think you're going to have? Because I'm not going to order something that's more expensive. That way, I will not order the lobster dinner when you're only having chopped meat.
Yeah.
I'm that way. I am. But, when he was looking and looking, and I said, and he all of a sudden said, well, how about we share a meal? Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
Well, you know what? That was like the second date, but that was the last date.
But isn't it beautiful how easy that was?
Yeah. And it was fine.
Yeah.
Like, it's not about of the fact, but it showed me, and that's what people have to realize. People show you who they are if you're willing to look and listen.
Yeah. So easy.
Right?
It's so easy. I was going to tell you a funny story and it just slipped out of my head, but I do love that story because you already knew in the beginning of you on that second date that you were getting the feeling already that this isn't going to work.
Well, he's already shopping for a restaurant. Like, it was like, why didn't you just make a reservation? Like that, and that's how I think.
Well,
and as he's shopping through, that already told me about it. And you know what? I wasn't going to make a whole thing out of it. No. It was like, I'm out. I may as well enjoy myself. This is probably the last date, but that's okay.
Yeah, well, that's the beauty of it. I mean, I've been on those second dates and even third dates where I go, okay, this isn't feeling good. We're going to finish this out, and then I'm going to be gonzo. Yeah. And so, it's super important to acknowledge that and also be okay with it, because you're going to see it out. You're not going to get mad. We're not going to yell at them. We're not going to stomp in the middle of it. I went on a date one time with a guy who sort of did that kind of thing, Glenda. Although it was a little bit of a bait and switch. I met him in downtown New York City, and he said, well, there's plenty of places to eat there, he tells me. Okay. So we meet there, and we finally find a diner. Okay. I mean, we're in New York City, and we go to a diner, and I could tell already there was not going to be a number 2 date. And the bill, and I probably had a hamburger, Glenda. I mean, we probably had burgers. Okay.
Yeah.
And the end comes, and the waitress brings him the bill, and he's opening up his wallet, and he's getting out his credit card, and he's saying, what are you doing next Friday? And he's like, and I'm thinking to myself, I said, I don't know. Why don't you call me and we'll have a conversation? And he goes, oh, mystery. I love that. And of course, when he called me, I broke up with him. I mean, I was not going out again, right? But I wasn't about to put myself in a situation where I'm going to be, number one, standing there alone, holding the bill.
Right.
I want women to be smart. This is New York City. He insisted he thought he was going to drive me home. I said, oh no, I'm taking the subway. And he walked me all the way down to the turnstile and tried to grab a kiss as I ran through the thing. And then I broke up with him when he called. We want to be smart. We want to be safe, and we want to be polite. And there's ways to do all of that at the same time. I
believe that everything should be led with class.
Yes.
Yes.
It's really important, but that tells a lot about us. And, never bring yourself down to anybody else's level.
No. And isn't it a beautiful thing? Because again, dating is a sifting and sorting. It's like a sale. It's like if you're in business, if you're looking for a client, you want to offer your best and see how you can best support. And if you realize that they're on 2 different pages, that's okay.
So let's talk about now, I don't want to get too far off where we can't tell people of, how that they can find the person that really resonates with them.
First of all, your bio is super important. I had a woman say to me, you mean I should be honest? Yes.
Oh my.
Yeah. Now, the bio is a beautiful place. Now, most men don't read it. Jeff did, but most men don't. They'll skim it if they have to, but remember, if they're saying yes to everybody, because men are visual, so they're going to first and foremost go with the look, which is another reason why I'm an advocate of letting the men reach out first. Because do you want to be with somebody who's not really like gaga over your looks? No. Why would you want to? Like, you don't want to feel like you're, please, I'm here. No, like,
right.
tripping over yourself to get to me is how I like it. And Glenda, ask that question again. For some reason, it went out of my head.
How can we, so the question is how can we help ourselves to go dating in a strong way within ourselves?
Okay, thank you.
Okay, go ahead, and then I'll
thank you.
what's going on in my head.
Okay, the bio. First, you want to start with this very clean, honest bio in a way that, and you'll constantly be tweaking it, because if you're getting dates with men that you're totally not resonating with, like I did back in my early 40s, I kept saying, what am I doing? I'm attracting men who think it's okay to put me on the back burner, who make me number 2. No, I'm going to be number 1. Okay, that's first and foremost. So I kept tweaking my bio to attract, because energy is real. So it starts in our bio. Who are we? The pictures that we post, right? I'm not going to cover my red because I think I'm going to insult somebody, or I think I'm going to, offend somebody. No, this is who I am. So you want to be honest with your bio, give them pictures, never with anybody else in the pictures. There should be a full length. There should be a close up. Your bio should be honest. And then for me as a writer, I didn't respond to anybody unless they actually sent me messages. That was number 1. I didn't care about the pokes or how they, that was irrelevant to me. I didn't care how many I got of those. And if somebody just said, so, hi, or what do you want to tell me about yourself? That's not enough for me. My juice is conversation, dialogue. So if you can't juice me on that part, you're not going to juice me at dinner, right? So yeah. And so, but you need to know yourselves well enough to know what resonates with you. If you're not feeling it when you open up the app or you meet somebody in person, it's okay. But that's where we start the sifting and sorting process. What were you going to say, Glenda?
I agree with you 100% on everything that you said, because I really believe that, writing about yourself and being straightforward, if you say, I don't know about what to write in the bio, but okay, that should be another point of what we do discuss about ourselves, but we resonate in showing that we're strong women, because a weak man is not going to want to be dating a strong woman. It just doesn't work. I like to have my chair pulled out. I like to be treated right. So when we put it out there of who we are, if they're not going to resonate with that, then you're not going to even go out with them to begin with.
Correct.
I think that's where we need to start. But it's also building going back, like I said to you, what I learned years ago was I had to, first of all, honor me and realize what I needed for myself. Yes. And, what it was in my relationships that didn't work,
right,
so that I wouldn't date that same person again.
Perfect. And there's 2 things I will say to that. One is, come on, Donna, bring it. Hold on. Let me go with number 2 first, because that's in my head. I had a guy reach out to me, in fact, the same morning that Jeff did. And on my bio, I was clear about being a new widow moving forward, and that I was not looking for love and marriage. I was a non-monogamous, looking for a few good men that I could enjoy the company of. I was very clear about that. I made no apologies for that. And I got somebody reached out to me, and it happened to be the 4th of July morning. So I was sitting on the couch all cozy, and I was reading the app. And when I replied to him, he said, wow, finally, because he couldn't find me unless I responded, right? But I was like, okay, let me see what this guy's about. And so he was all excited, but I could feel the push. He was pushing on me. And he was asking me to coffee, and apparently he was from Prescott. So he was wanting me to drive, I don't know, 20 or 30 miles to go for a cup of coffee. And I thought, well, can we at least have breakfast, if we're going to do that, and so I said, I'm not, he's insinuating that in 6 months from now, he's going to want to talk about marriage. Yes, there it is. I said the M word, and I'm going, you're not listening to me. I'm not looking for love and marriage. And he finally decided he wanted a phone call, which is fine. And he was almost yelling at me. I was sitting on the couch almost it was almost humorous. Like he was pushing on me in a way. I felt it through the email, and then I felt it through the phone call. And he said, "You mean to tell me?" He goes, "This is what he said to me. I swear to you, I'm quoting you. Do you mean you want to have sex with other men? Do you think it's because your husband died?"
What?
And I go, "Yes, that is exactly why I want to have sex with other men. Okay, I'm not looking for love and marriage." And then he reneged on our coffee date, right? He said, "Oh, you know what? I don't think I want to take you out." And I said, "Well, perfect. Thank you so much for calling." And I clicked off. This is how easy dating is. Was I worried about offending him or him judging me or him not liking my scenario? No. And then I opened up the app from Jeff.
Oh, wow.
So it's just...
What a synchronicity there. You opened his first, and then Jeff was just the knight in shining armor.
I cried when the second email that went back and forth on the app, I cried because he was asking me to dinner, of which I relieved him. I said, "You could take me for a drink. We're not on the same page." "No, what do you want? Do you want a hole-in-the-wall place that's Indian food? Do you want a good steak?" He gave me like 10 choices. And of course, I am widowed, and I had just went bankrupt, which was difficult as well. And so I'm sitting there going, "Oh my God, I could really go for a good steak,"
So what
was growling?
So what did you decide as your first, when he asked you as your first date?
I said, "I would love a good steak. It's been a long time." And he said, "Perfect. I will text you tomorrow the location," and blah, blah, blah. So be honest. And I wasn't trying to spend his money.
Yeah.
I didn't need a free meal.
Yeah.
But he was asking me what I wanted. And I told him what I wanted.
That's awesome.
He was giving me as a choice, So be honest with yourself. Oh, this is what I was going to say. Dating is the most magnificent personal development course you could ever take. I mean, I learned so much about myself dating, and I still do.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. Yeah.
Yeah. So get out there and date, learn about yourself, build your confidence, and meet your Mr. Wonderful, because this is what's going to happen. And if you don't meet your Mr. Wonderful, you're still happy because you're having fun. You're meeting great men. You're meeting great people. Like, it's just fun. Why not do it?
And it's true. It, you know what? It's life does happen for you and not against you, as long as you believe in it. And like, I'm such a believer in that we can gravitate to people that will really sparkle us in our life.
Yes.
And you can have it all.
You can. And it starts with being honest with yourself and being okay with being vulnerable and understanding that you don't quite know how to trust yourself yet, but it's okay to start the process. That's all the part of that's the whole picture. We're not here to just go out and meet Mr. Wonderful or whatever we're looking for, right? And so it's wonderful. Why would we not want love in our life? Intimacy. Why wouldn't we want that? And so we should be happy before we go out to date, because we're not looking for somebody to make us happy. But boy, oh boy, when you're happy and you meet somebody who's happy too, whoo, what a delightful scenario that is.
It's true. Beautiful. It changes your life for the best.
Yeah. So that's my message, and I'm obsessed with it, Glenda. I can't stop talking about helping women understand their value when it comes to relationships. I'm 100% obsessed. I can't shut up. And so now I have a YouTube channel coming. It's like, I've been working on this for 25 years, but you know what? It doesn't matter, because you never get it done and it never gets finished. And there's always going to be somebody who's going to benefit from your message. Just like,
and it's okay to continue on and to keep searching, like, don't stop it. That's the whole thing. I hear so many people saying, well, I'm never going to date again. I have no desire. But those are the people who actually end up becoming hard and angry. And that's not how we were supposed to be living our lives.
No. And we're going to wake up. I'm 65 now. So I got married to Jeff when I was 60. And so I think about these women, and my heart goes out to them, because we're going to wake up one day when we're 70 or 80 and go, ooh, I could have had so much fun, and I didn't. And I'm not saying you need that to have a fulfilling life. I'm just saying that as humans, we love the connection. And if we're worried that we're going to meet the same type person we had been going out with, which I come across a lot, I help them change the sign above their head so they're not looking for the same thing and they're open to receiving a different connection, right? Like Lucille Ball and Lucille Ball.
So let's talk about one of the most important things is going out, even if you're able to, going out with your girlfriends and just having a good time, and you just never know who you can meet through that. You know, there's still that old other fashioned way of meeting people that you see. It's, what do you do if somebody gives you that eye?
What eye?
The eye of they're interested.
Well, if you're interested, you want to give the eye back and make it okay for them to approach you. Remember, men are insecure.
Yes.
And if they have an eye for someone, and it takes a really strong man to walk into a group of women and point one out. So that's why, you know, there's that, right? But it doesn't mean it can't happen. And I always say, just because I'm telling you men have to make the first move doesn't mean I'm saying that you can't make an indicator. They're looking for an indicator. And so while I am not an advocate of walking up to a man and handing him which I did in the 20s, by the way, when I was in my 20s. Now I didn't hand out but I made it clear through my body energy and my life force and my little wink that it's okay if they approach me. Now, whether they do or not is up to them. That's the key.
See, ladies, there are times when you can do these things. And you know what? There's nothing better than the old-fashioned flirting.
Oh, flirting is amazing. I took a course back in the, oh my gosh, maybe the 90s. I paid somebody, Nicole, to teach me at my lunch hour in New York City how to flirt. I mean, so these are things that I teach my clients as well. Super valuable and underestimated. So yeah, I'm bringing it back. We're bringing it back.
Bringing it back. Yeah, that's awesome.
Well, I want to thank you so much for joining us today and for shedding some beautiful light out there, because you know what, nobody has to be alone in this world. No. And you know what, Donna's whole thing was she wanted to be married and have that. It doesn't matter. You can do what you want. Yeah. Have what you want. You are worth it. And that's the big thing that I want to put it out there. This is your life. You're meant to be happy. Go out there and just have fun and make it what you need it to be. Now, we never end our show without hearing from our Nicole, who always sums up what she feels from this.
You know, this is such a great conversation to be had, because there's so many different opinions on this type of thing. But one thing I remember, I was divorced in 2019, and I can remember being at one of my daughter's volleyball games. And there was a lady there that knew I was divorced. And she asked me, she goes, "Are you dating?" I said, "No, not right now." And she goes, "Oh my gosh, you need to get on those sites and start dating. You'll feel so much better about yourself." And to me, that is the exact opposite of what you need to do. You need to stand firm in your power. You need to understand who you are. And as that person that was married many years ago to my ex-husband, I'm completely different. You need to get to know yourself. You need to find your own power, and you need to feel good about yourself before ever swiping on, forever making eye contact. You need to be good with yourself, know who you are, what your worth is, what you desire, and that's when everything comes together.
Love it.
That's beautiful, Nicole.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. And it's about the laws of attraction, right? Stand in your power, attract your tribe. It's the same thing with dating.
Same. Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely.
And remember, if you're looking to contact Donna, her link is below and you can reach out to her. And if you want to get a little bit of tips on how you can move forward in your life, remember, you have to take some action for yourself, and that's reaching out. Thank you so much, John. It was an absolute delight sending you love and light on this beautiful day. Thank you all for joining us today.